My main topic for Project 1 was climate change, specifically in San Francisco. As San Francisco is surrounded by a large body of water, home to many people, and has a thriving work environment, many challenges collide with the bustling city. Through my research, I discovered the main threats to climate change within San Francisco are sea level rise, fossil fuels, communication strategies, and the barriers within the city that increase the level of adaptation deficit as a whole. A couple of the many barriers that are within San Francisco include governmental issues and leadership abilities. Many stakeholders in the city, which will be discussed in the video, are pushing to close the adaptation deficit that is creating a scary future for San Francisco. The primary stakeholder for this project is the Downtown Climate Innovation Hub. Daniel Lurie, the mayor of San Francisco, plans to make a difference in the climate adaptation industry. Lurie is an advocate for innovation and technological solutions, which is stated on his website, the Downtown Climate Innovation Hub. As the primary stakeholder of this project, Lurie and his organization believes that AI is the future and can help to create a better energy transition as a climate solution. The secondary stakeholders of this project are Climate SF, SF Department of Public Health, and SF Planning. Climate SF and SF Planning are pushing to find strategies and plans to slow the sea level rise of the San Francisco Bay and reinforce the city's shores for optimum stability. The SF Department of Public Health has been pushing and educating the people of San Francisco to be aware of the dangers of certain infections and diseases. They urge the people of the communities to get their checkups at their healthcare providers and to get tested. Daniel Lurie and his organization, along with other stakeholders, strive to keep climate change a minimalistic issue and create thriving communities among the city of San Francisco. The Downtown Climate Innovation Hub is a leading organization in San Francisco that's dedicated to the city's adaptation to the challenges of gradual climate changes through leadership, community-driven solutions, and long-term innovations in order to ensure the safety of the population. After further analysis, I found that the article Identifying and Overcoming Barriers in Urban Climate Adaptation, Case Study Findings from the San Francisco Bay Area, California, USA, by Ekstrom and Moser aligns with the Downtown Climate Innovation Hub that innovative leadership and collaboration are needed to overcome the governance and institutional barriers. The authors discuss an adaptation deficit as a major problem in San Francisco, which directly relates to my introduction that the city of San Francisco is in distress of the significant barriers to progress to close the gap. According to the authors, they define the adaptation deficit as the gap between the assumed abilities of communities to adapt to climate change and the on-the-ground evidence of their progress to adapt, which highlights that the preparedness is far behind potential. Additionally, they also discuss that the case study identifies the governance and institutional issues are the most frequent type and most influential barriers to closing the adaptation deficit. It emphasizes how fragmented leadership, limits to jurisdiction, and political issues may hinder progress for the city. These findings in the article align with my introduction that San Francisco's governmental and leadership limitations also play a role in the adaptation deficit. Ekstrom and Moser frame these barriers as systemic and structural rather than purely environmental, which reinforces that San Francisco requires the reforming of climate policy. Additionally, the article also supports my discussion of stakeholder collaboration and leadership as important factors in overcoming such barriers. The authors describe organizations such as the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission and the Department of Public Health and how they have been leading their own adaptation efforts collectively. These efforts consist of water supply management and assessments of vulnerability for extreme heat events. Ekstrom and Moser emphasize the importance of leadership, communication strategies, and collaboration as key strategies to lower adaptation barriers. This supports my introduction discussion of innovation and strong leadership, which is advocated by Daniel Lurie and his organization, that they are essential for adaptation gaps to close in San Francisco. San Francisco's climate resilience not only depends on technological advancements, but also improved leadership, governance, and community-driven efforts and solutions. The article Impact of Drought on Crime in California, a Synthetic Control Approach by Goen et al. Uncovers that economic stress due to climate-related activity affects social and economic systems, incentivizing the need for community-driven strategies in San Francisco, which relates to the motives of the Downtown Climate Innovation Hub. The case study done by the authors demonstrate that the extreme drought that lasted 4 years in California caused an increase in property crime. This highlights how environmental changes may influence social behavior and the livelihood of communities. According to the authors, they concluded that the drought also caused economic inequality, large amount of stress, and unemployment, especially among low-income populations of California. The biggest factor to these causes was the immense rise in water costs. This major impact on communities of California reflects that climate factors can destabilize social behavior due to the pressure of changes in daily routine. The pressure of climate change in coastal urban communities, such as ones in San Francisco, requires the need for leadership and collaboration to reinstate the once before state of equity. The findings by Goen et al. Prompts the importance of active governmental involvement and innovative collaboration to attack climate risks. The drought had a significant impact on property crime. The percentages of violent crime were fairly lower than property crime. It reflects how the changes in daily routine can cause people to act in survival mode. Goen et al. Discussed the halt in the economy had a negative effect on the wages of farmers, which highlights a gap in the economy. This has a correlation to Daniel Leary and his organization, the Downtown Climate Innovation Hub, which strives to make technological advancements as a form of climate resilience to create equity and stability. Goen et al.'s findings by linking environmental and social impacts of climate change provide strong evidence that adaptation strategies in San Francisco must prioritize social equity, leadership, and economic resilience along with infrastructure and technology. In the article Communicating Risk for Climate-Sensitive Disease, a case study of valley fever in Central California by Matlock et al. Demonstrates that innovation and clear climate communication is essential for adaptation, supporting that addressing climate change success depends on public awareness and community-driven leadership in order to reduce environmental health risks, which the Downtown Climate Innovation Hub strives for in San Francisco. In Matlock et al.'s case study, the authors examine how public health agencies communicate health risks and what specific strategies they use to inform them of valley fever in Central California. According to the article, valley fever is a climate-sensitive disease that increases with weather patterns and grows within the soil. After the research has been done, the authors conclude that health agencies in the Central Valley failed to incorporate climate change in their information to the public because they would like to keep it simple. This is an important step in communication, especially because of high probability of catching the disease. Many factors play a role in spreading the disease, such as rain, temperature, and wind speeds. The limit in climate communication in the Central Valley correlates to San Francisco, who struggles in collaborating with organizations and communities to solve issues such as air quality and sea level rise. San Francisco's climate adaptation efforts require effective climate communication from health agencies that connect communities to environmental shifts, just like valley fever in Central California. Concluding on Matlock's case study, their findings reiterate that taking initiative to inform the public on all levels of health risks can build proactive communities. Matlock thinks that communities that are at risk of their health need purposeful communication and information as motivation to act on protecting their health. Little things such as air quality alerts or wind speed alerts can warn the public of certain diseases, one such as valley fever. Just like Daniel Leary and the Downtown Climate Innovation Hub, it is important to promote educational and informative messaging to create a sense of climate resilience not just in researchers, but the communities it most affects. Both communication challenges in Central California and San Francisco highlight that public awareness and efforts are just as important, if not more, than infrastructure and technological innovation. Strong leadership and community-driven communication strengthens climate strategies with efforts from all instead of a select few. The article by Rucker et al. Supports the Downtown Climate Innovation Hub by demonstrating that uncertainty in sea level rise projections needs to be addressed with data-driven planning and leadership to protect coastal San Francisco communities such as the Embarcadero from growing sea levels and coastal floodings. Throughout the article, the authors reveal that not accounting for uncertainty in sea level rise projections can cause underestimation and future flood risks, and that incorporating it into the data will raise the base 100-year flood height by half a meter, which doubles the area of flooding across the coast of San Francisco. The data collected demonstrates that most sea level adaptation strategies plan for the most possible, but don't plan for all possibilities. This parallels to my introduction section on sea level rise that ignoring uncertainty in SLR leaves urban coastal communities unprepared. This highlights the need for leadership for leaders like Mayor Daniel Lurie and the Downtown Climate Innovation Hub, which rely on scientific evidence and future predictions when creating climate policies. Ruckert reinforces that climate adaptation in San Francisco must focus on future long-term risk, not short-term. In the author's flood modeling, the 100-year flood may occur more frequently, as soon as every 7 years by the end of 2100. San Francisco's governmental bodies and planners must integrate uncertainty into their modeling for plans, infrastructure, and future safety of the coastal areas such as the Embarcadero, which is at the most risk. This approach will give stakeholders such as Climate SF and SF Planning better anticipation for future environmental changes to protect coastal neighborhoods of San Francisco and the people who live in them. Daniel Lurie's proposals in his resource, Downtown Climate Innovation Hub, articulates a vision that leverages San Francisco's advanced technology ecosystem and real estate to become a leader in clean energy solutions as a climate adaptation strategy. In the resource, Lurie plans to respond to the city's economic struggles after the COVID-19 pandemic. In particular, he is addressing the 37% downtown office vacancy, which he claims to be an opportunity, not a failure. His proposal is to transform empty commercial spaces into innovation centers that are dedicated to clean tech industries, which link an economic comeback with environmental progress. Along with this proposal of his, he also has 3 key actions stated in the resource, which are lowering business taxes for companies, fast-tracking permits for the start of new clean energy developments, and utilizing artificial intelligence to accelerate advancements in renewable technology. Daniel Lurie's energy transition can be used as an example for other cities and can be used as motivation to act on it. It demonstrates that technology can not only make advancements within itself, but also be used for the betterment of cities and the globe. Daniel Lurie's Downtown Climate Innovation Hub demonstrates his belief in taking initiative and leadership in order to ensure the safety of the public and taking accountability to protect the environment and infrastructure. Lurie also believes that collaboration within the tech industry can be impactful in clean energy transitions. This could influence others to participate in a transition to clean energy, just like San Francisco. Along with these collaborations, Lurie seeks to make downtown San Francisco an example of urban planning and climate fortitude. Daniel Lurie demonstrates full investment into creating a cleaner environment for San Francisco. He sets an example as a proactive leader that is climate conscious and forward thinking to create sustainability in climate solutions and safeties. The San Francisco Department of Public Health emphasizes data driven assessments and coordination as a requirement to face public health challenges caused by climate change. The Public Health Department's Climate and Health Program highlights policy planning, research, and public engagement to manage climate impacts on the public health, such as air quality, extreme heat, and the spread of disease. The department also analyzes and collects citywide data on environmental exposures and illness patterns to identify threats to public health through applied research, community health epidemiology, and surveillance. Their data-driven approach reflects how the city uses science and monitoring to apply policies that protect the vulnerable population, but also demonstrates public health risks that are intensified by climate change. The SFDPH has a structure that links disease surveillance, environmental protection, and water and air quality. This illustrates the initiative they are taking to integrate this strategy to manage health effects on climate events. The SF Department of Public Health also demonstrates their commitment to evidence-based collaboration and preparedness by partnering up with organizations such as CDC and the California Department of Public Health. The department is represented as a key stakeholder within San Francisco that not only focuses their climate adaptation efforts on infrastructure, but cares for the wellness of the population. In a changing environment, the SF Department of Public Health focuses on using coordinated, data-driven health strategies to create a safety net for the communities of San Francisco. The Department of SF Planning emphasizes equitable resilience, sea level rise preparation, and zero-emission development as core components for adaptation to climate change in San Francisco as community solutions. The program's Sea Level Rise Vulnerability and Consequence Assessment and the Climate and Sustainability Framework within SF Planning's resource emphasize data-driven planning, long-term adaptation processes, and community-centered decision-making as an important component of their work. By incorporating environmental studies into their urban planning for the city, the department strategizes to protect both infrastructure and the natural environment from future projections of sea level rise. Coastal neighborhoods, transportation systems, and housing in general are at risk of rising sea levels, which is a focus for SF planning. The department takes initiative in innovation in zero-emission development, such as sustainable building codes and energy-efficient infrastructure. SF Planning intends to align the growth of San Francisco's climate solution transformation with their own climate goals in order to create community safety for proper livelihood. Additionally, the work done by the department is community-centered, emphasizing the importance of equity. SF Planning ensures that low-income communities that are at most vulnerable to climate impacts are included in their planning for resilience for climate solutions. They also provide many opportunities for public inclusion, such as the Resilient by Design Bay Area Challenge and the department's Sea Level Rise Action Plan, which educates the residents of these communities of climate risk and prompts them to help with solutions. This demonstrates that adaptation isn't a single person job, but requires all parties' involvement and collaboration in becoming prepared for the future. The emphasis on education and equitable engagement that SF Planning instills in their work demonstrates people of all backgrounds can come together to create a climate resilient livelihood for today and the future that awaits. Climate SF embodies a commitment to San Francisco by focusing on reducing greenhouse gas emissions, protecting the natural and built environment, and strengthening the infrastructure of the city as their form of their climate resilience. Climate SF is a big advocate for collaborating with the San Francisco organizations such as SF Planning, the San Francisco Environment Department, and the San Francisco Department of Public Health. This one strong force is coming together to tackle the climate risks for the future of the city. Just like Daniel Lurie and the other stakeholders mentioned, Climate SF focuses on strengthening infrastructure, especially coastal areas, making a clean energy transition, and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. By taking initiative into climate adaptation, the organization demonstrates a sense of leadership in bringing together organizations to plan for the future. The organization carries out systemic planning along with others in order to execute safety precautions for the city of San Francisco and the people within it. Community inclusive planning and educational approaches are carried out by Climate SF, ensuring that the safety of people in San Francisco are the main priority. They also engage the communities to join in the efforts with things such as outreach programs and climate reports to collectively educate communities within San Francisco. Being proactive is also emphasized by citizens to do things such as conserving energy and reducing their waste in order to participate in adaptation efforts. This organization believes that uniting as one to protect all of San Francisco will help to adapt to the challenges of the climate. Daniel Lurie and his organization, Downtown Climate Innovation Hub, along with other stakeholders, demonstrate San Francisco's initiative to climate resilience depends on collaboration, leadership, and community-driven innovation to adapt to certain climate factors the city faces, such as sea level rise and health risks. From sea level rise to clean energy solutions and public health safety, each of these stakeholders fight for adaptation within San Francisco. Reforming workspaces like Daniel Lurie and the Downtown Climate Innovation is doing for technological and artificial intelligence advancements for climate resilience is the first initiative for adaptation efforts. It allows for other organizations like the San Francisco Department of Public Health and SF Planning to use their data-driven strategies to ensure the safety of the public, whether it is their well-being or health. Altogether, the efforts of these stakeholders are uniting as one to face a singular problem. Lurie taking the leadership role, but also collaborating with other innovators to adapt to climate risks will close the gap, bringing safety to San Francisco. Not only that, but these stakeholders understand that inclusivity of the communities in the city is important to adaptation. Educating the residents of the city and including them in city planning is important for all participants to be proactive, especially people that are the most vulnerable. Climate SF does a great job not only coordinating collaborations, but also having community engagement for safer practices and adaptive efforts. Sustainability and the concern for public health is important to all organizations involved, protecting and serving the place many call home. San Francisco's efforts for climate resilience is an example of teamwork, leadership, innovation, and engagement of all parties involved. By coming together as one, Daniel Leary and the other fighting stakeholders demonstrate how cities can close the adaptation gap and turn it into benefits for everyone by creating equity and sustainability.